Surveillance Medical Officer, World Health Organization, Dr. Satish Chandra, our DRFC PDG, Dr. P. Narayana. He is popularly known as Polio Narayana. I cordially welcome our district trainer, PDG Dhyana Vasant Shetty, and district councillor, PDG Dr. Bharatesh. Our warm welcome to all the past district governors. Our hearty welcome to our district governor nominee, Dr. Gauri. I welcome all the district chairman, vice chairman, and various committee members. I also welcome District Secretary Rotarian Alan Levis. I cordially welcome all the assistant governors, zonal lieutenants, and zonal coordinators. I also welcome all the club presidents, secretaries, international service directors, Polio Plus chairman, and all the Rotarians who are participating in today's virtual meeting. Now I request our district governor-elect M.G. Ramchandra Murthy to deliver the inaugural address.
What about invocation?
Sorry. Sorry, I missed it in a hurry. I request Annette Shravan Basri to give her invocation. Shravan, are you ready?
Namaste everyone. Amit sir, please let me know if I'm audible.
Yeah, you're clear. Yeah.
Saraswati Namaste. Saraswati Namostute Sharadi Vidyapari. Saraswati Namostute Sharadi Vidyapari. Saraswati Namostute. करधृत वीणा पुस्तक करधृत वीणा पुस्तक वरमणिमालालङ्कृत करधृत वीणा पुस्तक वरमणिमालालङ्कृत सरस्वती नमोस्तुते शारदे विद्याप्रदे सरस्वती नमोस्तुते नरहरिनुत विधिलालित नवमणियुत कम्बुगळे नरहरिनुत विधिलालित नवमणियुत कम्बुगळे सुरसेवित पदयुगळे सुरसेवित पदयुगळे स्तोदाकर समदवळे सुरसेवित पदयुगळे स्तोदाकर समदवळे सरस्वती नमोस्तुते शारदे विद्याप्रदे सरस्वती नमोस्तुते.
Thank you, Annette Shravan, for your melodious invocation. Now, I have already welcomed her. Shall I repeat it?
Yeah.
Dr. Narayan? Okay.
Why repeat it?
Okay. Now, I request our district governor-elect M.G. Ramchandra Murthy to deliver the inaugural address. Please, floor is yours.
Yes, sir. Good morning, all. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Chairman, District Polio Plus District Committee, Dr. Parameshwar, our guest speakers of the day. A very rare opportunity to have PDG Deepak Kapoor, the chairman of the National Polio Plus Committee, and also PDG Bharat Kumar Reddy, zone coordinator, zone 7, and our own Dr. Narayan, DRFC, District 382. And Satish Chandra is not a guest, actually, is our own man, because every time we are meeting him in the Pulse Polio seminars. So, Dr. Satish Chandra, I'm very happy to see you here and also welcome you. And DGN, Dr. Gauri, and Councillor Bhartesh, PDG, and then District Trainer Jana Vasan Shetty, and all my dear Rotarians. Rotary's commitment to Polio Plus is a big history, and many people would not know that the first major outbreak of polio was in 1894. So almost 126 years back. And the vaccine was finally licensed in 1960. And then onwards, 1960 to 2020 is almost 60 years. So the almost end of the game. The recent news for us, a very happy news, is Africa region is declared polio free. 47 countries of the African continent is declared polio is eradicated and it is polio free. For this, our Rotary RI President Holger Nock has congratulated all the efforts made by the Rotarians, not only African region, but also the efforts made by all the Rotarians so far to see that the control is taken over the virus. And Rotary's part in this mission is commendable. Rotarians, its partners, have contributed millions of dollars for the eradication of polio, and so also millions of man-hours. That is very important. I myself is involved in the this particular mission since 1995. So that for the last 25 years, the efforts made by the Rotarians and these partners, and also the partner organizations, various government of the all over world, UNICEF, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, doctors, health workers, and who else? So almost every person in the whole world is involved. So this is a very, very good example of public and private global effort. If any private and public effort is there, when that is means the private people should own the responsibility, own the mission, and then the things can happen. The polio eradication mission has shown this, that public and private global effort can do anything in the world. Previously, around 75,000 children every year was affected on pulse polio. So, if you can imagine the way in which the polio eradication was not taken up, what would have been the physical disability of the people of the world. So that has been nowhere. So that way, the efforts of everybody in eradication of pulse polio is commendable. Rotary has shown, now it is only in Afghanistan and Pakistan, every effort is going on to see that it is eliminated. Rotary has shown to the world, polio eradication efforts have saved the world more than 27 billion US dollars in health costs since 1988. Otherwise, that would have been the cost for the world. Notably, again, RA, which is at the origin of these efforts to contribute to the latest mile of polio eradication. So, our Deepak Kapoor, one second. Our Bharat Kumar Reddy is going to have a particularly funds are crucial on this issue. He is going to speak on that subject. So notably, that is very important. The achievement of polio eradication will be a milestone for global health. And even though it is not very much relevant for today's subject, I want to just mention one thing. In the Rotary International, 7 areas of focus now. Out of that, one is basic literacy and basic education and literacy. So as we see the polio as the physical inability, so also illiteracy is the mental disability. So that way, Rotary International has taken as the focus area of basic education and literacy. So that way, the India has developed a Rotary India literacy mission, where by 2025, now it is less than 75% of the illiteracy is there all over almost many part of the India. So that way, 2025, we should be literate India. That is the mission. That way, both physically and mentally, the people of India, people of world should be strong enough to see that they are not dependable. My dear friends, today is a very important day because we have very good panel of speakers, and we have lucky to have PDG Deepak Kapoor, who is speaking on the subject Rotary's commitment to Polio Plus, and PDG Bharat Kumar Reddy is talking on funds are crucial for elimination of polio, and Dr. Satish Chandra is going to have surveillance, how it happens, and particularly now there is COVID situation in this part, in this particular situation, how to go ahead with the surveillance. And also Narayan always says, end polio now. So he is going to speak on that. So it is very, very important meeting for the Rotary, because we have to involve in this particular mission and see that last milestone is reached. Let us make this meet informative, useful, and successful. I declare the meet inaugurated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, DGE MJ Ramchandramurthy, for your inaugural address. Actually, in purpose of the today's meeting, whatever I wanted to say already has been covered by you, so I don't want to repeat the same thing. Now we'll move to the next most interesting subject, that is guest lectures. I would like to invite AG Vasant Hoblidar to introduce the first guest speaker, that is PDG Deepak Kapoor. Vasant Hoblidar is there?
Yeah.
Please.
Thank you, Parameshwar. Good morning, one and all. Respected District Governor, distinguished guests, senior Rotarians, and friends in Rotary. It is my pleasure to introduce one of the prime guest speaker of this meeting, PDG Deepak Kapoor, to this August gathering. PDG Deepak Kapoor, who graduated with honors in economics from St. Stephen's College, Delhi University, and is a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. He presently heads his family business of printing and publishing, which was set up in Lahore in 1988. He was the district governor of RI District 3010 in 1993-94. In 2012, he was invited by the Center for Global Affairs, New York University at the United Nations to speak about Rotary's efforts to eradicate polio throughout the world. Deepak Kapoor took over as chairman of Rotary International's India National Polio Plus Committee in 2001, an honorary position which he holds till date. He is the longest serving chairman of the National Polio Plus Committee in the world. He also served as the vice chair of End Polio Now Countdown to History Challenge Committee for the year 2017 to 2021. Member of India Expert Advisory Group since 2005, which advises the Government of India on its polio eradication strategy and also on measles and rubella elimination. Earlier, he was Rotary International Training Leader in 2001 and member of RI 2002 Barcelona Convention Committee and member of RA 2003 Brisbane Institute Committee, member of 2000 million US dollar Challenge Committee of Rotary, and he has represented RA presidents at district conferences in and outside India. Some of the most significant honors or achievements in civic and public service activities to his feathers are: he was recognized in 2014 as one of the 100 leading global thinkers in the world, alongside Mr. Narendra Modi and Amit Shah from India, by the prestigious Foreign Policy magazine published from US. He participated in and addressed the Global Vaccine Summit in Abu Dhabi in 2013 at the invitation of Mr. Bill Gates. He was recognized by the government of Delhi for contribution to the Pulse Polio Abhiyan. He was awarded International Service Award for a polio-free world by Rotary International in 2007, Service Above Self Award in 1995-96, and Citation for Meritorious Service in 94-95. He is a major donor and benefactor of the Rotary Foundation. He was born in a Rotary family, a third-generation Rotarian. His wife, Dr. Vanita Kapoor, MD in Radiology, is a member and club director of Rotary Club of Delhi South. Now he'll speak on topic Rotary's commitment to Polio Plus. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vasant. I request Deepakji, the floor is open for you.
Thank you very much for that over generous introduction. When I was asked to send in an introduction by Dr. Parameshwar, I did not realize how long it was. My apologies to all of you for having to suffer through so many lengthy paragraphs. I will make sure that next time I can tune it down by at least 70 to 80%. It is a real pleasure to be here amongst old friends and a lot of new friends. As Dr. Narayan was saying just before the beginning of the meeting, I have been to your district on more than one occasion, but once for the district polio orientation and planning meeting at his invitation. But today, I would like to begin with a very sad announcement, which many of you would probably be aware of. A deep personal friend and a great polio warrior, past RI director Yashpal Das, passed away just 5 days ago from the dreaded coronavirus. Yash Das's contribution to the Indian Polio Plus program are second to none. I mean, he was the absolute icon that we all cherish working with. As a mark of respect, I'm not going to ask for any silence or for you to rise. A very heartfelt salute to this brave warrior against polio and against the coronavirus. You know, everyone today is completely in fear and trepidation, anxiety about the COVID-19 virus. And that's bound to happen, especially when you have so many friends, relatives, others suffering from this dreaded disease. At a time like this, one wonders, how can we keep harping about polio when you have such a deadly killer in the world? But you know, at times like these, we have to remember what I learned from a member of your district over the years, a very brave polio warrior. His excellence in the field of Polio Plus, in the program of Polio Plus, is absolutely legendary. I would like you to raise a hand in salute to our vice chairman for so many years, Dr. P. Narayan, for his yeoman service. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
It is. So the reason we talk of Polio Plus even today is because if it were not for Polio Plus, 2 crore children would perhaps not have been walking today. Look at the amount Rotarians like you and I have contributed to this program. 15,000 crore. Look at the number of vaccines. 250 crore children immunized over the years. And look at the benefits. Almost 4 lakh crore. The benefit up to now, you can see there, is more than 2 lakh crores. And the cost of one immunization is just 45 rupees. However, we have with us here past Governor Bharat, and he's going to talk to you about the funding gap, how even more money is required for this program. Let me go back to the primary lessons that Dr. Narayan taught me when I became chair of the Polio Plus Committee. Polio is a virus, causes paralysis, and at times it can even paralyze the breathing of the child, which is why, if you remember in the early days, especially in the United States in the 1940s and 50s, there used to be what we called iron lungs. Even today, you can get an iron lung on Amazon for about $26. It is thankfully a relic of the past. What it did was that it taught you, or it enabled the child to breathe. Because without the iron lung, if the child came out of the iron lung, he or she would die. Now, all of you know there are 2 kinds of polio, the wild polio and the vaccine-derived polio. There are 3 kinds, both wild and vaccine-derived. P1, P2, P3. I mean, there's nothing esoteric about that. It's for ease of classification that they are called P1, P2, and P3. Now, how do we fight against this? Initially, the fight in India and in the rest of the world was through routine immunization against polio. That is, you take your child to the primary health center or the hospital, and he or she is given the drops or an injection. But then there is also what we call the supplementary immunization. By another name, it is called the NIDs, or National Immunization Days, when we aim to immunize 172 million children in India alone over a 5 to 6 day period, so that we can control the disease. And today, so that we can ensure that the disease does not come back. Now, there are essentially 2 kinds of vaccines. You have the IPV, or what is called the inactivated polio vaccine, which is given through an injection. It was invented by Dr. Salk. And then the ubiquitous oral vaccine, which contains an attenuated live virus called the Sabin vaccine. Let's take a look at these milestones. Remember, please, that Rotary came up with the idea that polio could be eradicated from the world. Smallpox had been recently eradicated, and some senior Rotarians came up with the idea, including Dr. Sabin, that it was possible to eradicate only the second disease in world history. In 1979, there was a pilot carried out in the Philippines, and seeing the success of that, Rotary approached WHO, and together they went to the World Health Assembly, where it was finally decided that a global initiative would be taken up to eradicate polio from the world. In 1987 was the first fundraising done by Rotary. $225 million was collected, and everyone thought that it was enough. 225 million with an M would be enough to immunize every child in the world against not only polio, but against all other diseases. How wrong we were at that time. It needs multiples of that to eradicate the disease, as experience has shown us. India began supplementary immunization only in 1995, despite years of advocacy by Rotary to senior political leadership and to senior bureaucrats. Nobody believed that this was the way to go. But Rotary leaders kept plugging away, and in 1994, the current Union Minister of Health, Dr. Harshvardhan, carried out a mass immunization campaign against polio in the state of Delhi. And after seeing the success of that, the first NID was organized by the government of India in 1995. I think Dr. Parameshwar spoke of the global partners in the polio eradication initiative. It's formally known by the acronym GPEI, Global Polio Eradication Initiative. And if you Google GPEI, you can go to the official site of this. The partners are there right in front of you. The original partners being Rotary, WHO, UNICEF, CDC, that's the Centers for Disease Control in the United States, respective governments, and two late entrants are the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Gavi, the World Vaccine Alliance. Now, each of these partners in the eradication initiative had specific roles to play. And they're given right here. I'm not going to read them out. You can read better than me. WHO, the technical inputs. UNICEF essentially began with procuring the vaccine, but today the government of India buys its own vaccine, procures its own vaccine. Social mobilization. CDC, again, technical inputs. And you, Rotarians, raising funds, advocacy of four kinds: political advocacy, advocacy with senior bureaucrats, religious advocacy with top religious leaders of every religion in India, and advocacy with corporate groups to help raise funds. Now, over the years, there's not been a single prime minister or president of the country who has not been approached to keep polio on their agenda. The topmost bureaucrats of the land. You see here the chief secretary with Bob Scott, a former International Polio Chair, Mr. P.K. Hota, who was the Health Secretary of the Union Government, senior IAS officers from Bihar. You see Mrs. Rajeshri Birla in the Parliament House, in the Rashtrapati Bhavan. You see here Mrs. Birla, by the way, has given, Bharat, you will correct me if I'm wrong, $13 million for Rotary's polio eradication initiative. $13 million. She is an exemplar for all of us to follow. You see here also Mr. Lakshmi Mittal. And then advocacy for getting in more and more partners, be it Bill Gates, be it the senior most corporate leaders in India. Engagement with the media. You see here the former Union Health Minister Ghulam Nabi Azad. You know, there was a time in the campaign when UP and Bihar had problems of religious resistance to polio immunization. And WHO came to Rotary and said, look, we are UN agencies. No way can WHO and UNICEF start meddling in religious issues. And the government of India itself was quite wary about entering into this issue. So it was left to Rotary to try and cobble together a Muslim ulema committee in the state of UP. And believe you me, it was a very, very difficult task. Let me give you an example of the kind of resistance that we faced. You know, there used to be 4 capitals of polio in the world, which is what Dr. Bruce Aylward of WHO, who headed the polio eradication initiative for very long, said. He said the last country in the world which will get rid of polio will be India. He was proven wrong. But at that time, that's what the thinking was. And in India, he said, UP is the state which will do it last of all. And within UP, you have 4 fortresses of polio. And if you will get rid of polio in those 4 cities of India, you will have got rid of polio worldwide. And those 4 were Moradabad, Bareilly, Badaयूं, and Rampur. All 4 of them in the western part of UP. So Rotary got together this entire Muslim Ulema Committee. I promised to tell you very quickly about the kind of resistance we faced. You know, in Moradabad, which was the worst, and Moradabad virus, there is a polio virus, which was a strain which was known by the name of Moradabad virus because it emanated from the city of Moradabad in western UP and went to every continent on earth. Every continent had the Moradabad virus at one point of time. And in Moradabad, there was a revenue block called Kundarki. So a few of us Rotarians went to Kundarki because we were told that the maximum resistance against the immunization came from that block. And in that block, we went to the house where we were told the maximum resistance came from. In fact, they were scared that if we went there, we might be killed. To cut a long story short, we walked into this house where there was this young mother holding an infant in her arms. So we went up to her and asked, ma'am, can we immunize your child? We are here to deliver polio drops. And to our surprise, she said, yes. So 2 or 3 very senior Rotarians, Kalyan Banerjee, past world president, was one of them, stepped forward to immunize the child. But I hesitated and I held onto his arm. I said, there's something wrong with the body language of the lady. So we asked her, ma'am, are you comfortable with this? What are you going to do after we immunize your child? She says, that's easy. She said it in Hindi, but I'm saying it in English. She says, that's easy. You walk out of this door, and I'm going to dash the child's head against the ground and kill it. We were absolutely aghast, and we asked her, why would you do that? She says, because if I don't do that, my husband will come home in the evening and kill not only the child, but me and everybody else in the household. Now, this is unfortunate but true, but the story does not end here. We walked out of the house without immunizing the child on that occasion and saw another child outside, a male child, playing in the mud. He obviously was suffering from polio because his limbs were paralyzed, his legs were uh, totally limp. On finding out, we were told that that was the same lady's son. So even though her own son had got polio, she refused to immunize her daughter because she was so scared and there was so much resistance in the wild against the immunization. So that is what Rotary helped change around completely. So much so that the mosques on every Friday morning started saying over the loudspeaker, please bring your child for polio immunization, alongside calling everybody to prayer. That is what you have done over the years. You have distributed whistles, balls, umbrellas, posters, banners, helped immunize children, involved celebrities like Amitabh Bachchan, Shah Rukh Khan, Aishwarya Rai, the whole lot of them. Till now, the red shows how much of a problem polio was in just 1988. It seems like yesterday to us older Rotarians, maybe not for the younger ones. But today, there are only 120 cases in the world, and they are from this region. 73 from Pakistan and 47 from Afghanistan. Just spend 30 seconds in looking at this slide. Those are the recorded last cases of the polio wild virus in different areas of the world. So people, when they ask, why continue with polio? The basic answer is because polio can be eradicated. Look at the number of vaccines you've given. Look at the number of children you have vaccinated. Look at the amount of the kind of benefit that the world will get from preventing or eradicating polio. And if you stop doing this, if you stop immunizing, and you have the vaccine, it's not like COVID right now, which is going on, and we have to find the vaccine, we have to immunize every person in the world. Here you have to immunize only children up to the age of 5. But if you stop doing it, you will have 2 lakh cases every year if you stop immunizing now.
Sir, 5 more minutes.
I'm ready to conclude in the next 2. Your efforts in polio support other health priorities. Look at the number of doses of vitamin A that have been given. And today, the entire network all over the world is being utilized to fight COVID-19. Now, you might say, what can my club do? 3 things. advocacy, not necessarily with presidents and prime ministers, but down the line, right down to the village pradhan level. Support booth immunization, house-to-house immunization, and raise funds. And if you do all this, my friends, this will continue to figure in the history book as the last case of polio in India. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm through.
Thank you, Deepak Kapoorji. You have given us an excellent speech on role of Rotary, what it has done to the Polio Plus program, and what would have happened to the world if the Polio Plus was not done. How much of money, manpower is spent, and how many vaccinations are given. You have explained about the type of viruses and type of immunizations, and how GPI EI was born, and how the different partners have worked towards the success of Polio Plus. You have told a heart-touching story what really happened in Moradabad, and how the Rotary overcame this resistance. I thank you very much, sir. Sir, we will be there till the end of the meeting.
In a little while, I will have to exit because I have another virtual meeting to attend. I'm sorry.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we'll go to the second speaker, PDG Bharat Reddy. He will be speaking on funds are crucial. I request Vasant Thobidar to introduce the guest speaker.
Okay.
Vasant?
Yeah. Morning again. Again, I am very proud to introduce this August gathering one more distinguished guest of today's session, PDG Rotarian Bharat Kumar Reddy. PDG Bharat Kumar Reddy joined Rotary Club Nellore in 1983, served RI District 3160 as a district governor during 98-99. He was a GST team leader to RI District 6060 in April 2007. He represented RI District 3160 in Sivoyal in May 2004, received Rotary's highest award, Service Above Self, in 2003, received TRF Meritorious Service Award in 1999, and Distinguished Service Citation in 2004. Currently, he is serving as End Polio Now Coordinator for Zone 7, attended 7 RI conventions and 20 Rotary Zone Institutes. Bharat and his spouse Anuradha are major donors to TRF. Bharat is a Polari Society member and has been contributing to Polio Plus program. His son, daughter, daughter-in-law, and 2 granddaughters, even on birth, are Polari Fellows. He is a member of iBank Association of India and Management Committee, and also the member of Red Cross Nellore Cancer Hospital. Today, he will be speaking on the subject, funds are crucial. Thank you very much.
PDG Bharat Reddy, the floor is open for you.
Thank you, Governor-elect Ramchandra Murthy, Rotary District Polio Plus Chairman Dr. Parameshwar, DGN Gauri, and National Polio Plus Committee Chairman Deepak Kapoor, and highly respected Dr. P. Narayana, friends, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak with you on this occasion. It is very, very difficult to speak after Deepak Kapoor's address. He has been the pioneer, the warrior. He has been guiding us. He has been telling us what to do in polio eradication, and we are always indebted to you, Deepak ji, for this. And you have heard what polio has done, what Rotary has done for polio eradication. And the kind of funds we require, my friends, are enormous. The question often posed is, for which purpose these funds are utilized, the funds you collect from us Rotarians. It's not only for the vaccine purchase, and somebody said, you say the vaccine is costing only 46 cents or $1 or $2, but so many millions of dollars, what are you going to do with that money? What are you doing with this money? These questions I faced. Friends, let me tell you, it's not only the vaccine purchase involved in the funds, it is the distribution efforts, the transport efforts, and the staffing efforts that requires a lot of money. And if you look at the Twitter, the recent tweet by our Rotary Foundation chairman, K. Ravindran, given on 1st September, he says a grant from Rotary recently given to Afghanistan to cover the immunization efforts. It has been spent for 57,000 vaccinators, 3,100 vehicles, and 3,400 social mobilizations. In Nigeria, funds covered 17 boats, 1,150 carts, 1,071 vehicles, and 1,530 motorbikes. This is the money, this is the kind of a money we use for all these purposes, not only for buying polio vaccine. And moreover, we need funds for continuous polio detection. Surveillance is complicated and very costly. And the funds required are to monitor children for acute flaccid paralysis. Secondly, collecting samples from sewage system. These are all the areas where we spend money for polio eradication, not just vaccine related. You have seen in earlier years when the polio eradication campaign started, we have been receiving the sun visors, the caps, the aprons, the balloons, so on and so forth, so much of material. Even the district meets were being funded by the National Polio Plus Committee. These are all the areas where we have been spending money for polio. Of course, the money has, the polio has been eradicated in India, but we need money to continue the routine immunization, to continue the social mobilization, to continue the surveillance efforts. And of course, there are two countries, our neighboring countries, which are affected with the polio vaccine. With polio disease, still struggling to eradicate polio disease. And it is our responsibility to raise funds and help those countries also to eradicate polio totally. You know, you have just seen in the last slide of Deepak ji that if we don't continue the immunization, annually 2 lakh children are going to be affected. And the funding gap, as rightly pointed out by Deepak Kapoor ji, it is $500 million, working out to 3,750 crores. And we have to raise this money thanks to Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation that has come forward to give funds on matching ratio. For every dollar you give, they're going to match with $2. Suppose if you give $100, they're going to give $200, and that makes it $300. So this itself is not enough. We need to search for various avenues to raise funds. And this is in brief to tell you how exactly the funds received are spent. We need funds for vaccine purchase. We need funds for surveillance. We need funds for social mobilization, may not be in India, but in Pakistan and Afghanistan. Well, when we received funds, we never asked why the European countries, the Japanese countries, or the American countries are pumping in money to save our children. Similarly, in the same lines, let us think that we need to give the same helping hand to Afghanistan and Pakistan and see that polio eradicated from those two countries and fulfill our promise to given to the children of the world that polio will be eradicated from the earth by rote. This is what we have given promise. We have to keep up that promise and the funds we have to raise. And if you don't get enough funds, imagine what's going to happen. The entire thing stops. Even once one single case can create havoc. And especially in the neighboring countries, if it filters to our border, imagine what will happen. Please keep this in mind. Please work out very vigorously. Please promote the End Polio Now program. And this is why we have to generate more funds. And this is how we spend funds. And whatever I said, it will be put in a small format. And I'm going to put it in the next End Polio Now bulletin, which will be posted to Dr. Parmeshwar. And he in turn will give you pass it on to all of you. There will be more information. Why do we require funds? Why should we raise funds? These are all the things. There's so much information is there, which I'll not be able to tell you straight away because of the time gap. There are Mr. Dr. Satish is there and Dr. Narayana are there. Let us listen to them. And I assure you the information what I gave and what is remaining will be put in the bulletin format and pass it on to you by 10th of October. That's a promise. And thank you, Dr. Parmeshwar, for giving me this opportunity. And thank you, District 3182, for this opportunity. And let me tell you, I have a special bonding with your district. I was RA President representative for Abhinandan Shetty's conference. And let me tell you, I fell in love with your district immediately. What a wonderful district. What a friendly district it is. Thank you so much. And thank you for everything.
Thank you, PDG Bharat Reddy. In your wonderful lecture, you have described how the polio funds are utilized. In addition to the vaccine, transport, distribution, for manpower, it is spent to monitor the cases and collection of samples, booth materials. For all these things, the funds are utilized. You have also explained about how the funds given by Rotarians and the public is matched with the Melinda Gates Foundation, and it will be increased by 3 times. Thank you very much for your wonderful lecture. Sir, you will be there till the end, because question answer session is there.
Yes, Dr. Parmeshwar, I'll be there.
Thank you. Now we will move on to the third speaker, Dr. Satish Chandra, Surveillance Medical Officer of World Health Organization. I request Vasant to introduce Dr. Satish Chandra.
Thank you, Doctor. Friends, again, it is my pleasure to introduce one more guest of today, Dr. Satish Chandra, DM, Surveillance Medical Officer, WHO, Mangalore. Dr. Satish Chandra did his MBBS in Davangere and MD in Community Medicine in JN Medical College, Belgaum. He is now headquartered at Mangalore, looking after Dakshina Kannada, Chikkamangaluru, Shimoga, Udupi, and Hassan districts since 2011. He has also worked in various other states for polio eradication activities, measles elimination, routine immunization, and vaccine preventable diseases, surveillance strengthening, etc. He was involved in the world's first ever inactivated polio vaccine mass campaign at Hyderabad in response to detection of vaccine-derived paralytic polio viruses, VDPV. He went as a national observer to Arunachal Pradesh to assess the preparedness of the measles rubella vaccination campaign. He was deployed in Kerala for post-floods communicable diseases surveillance strengthening as a part of WHO mission. He has many publications to his credit and authored an operational manual on Casanuru forest disease, a few topics. He has done various paper presentations at state, national, and international conferences. His areas of interest are immunization, vaccine preventable diseases, maternal and child health. Brothers, today he will be speaking on surveillance amid COVID pandemics. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vasan. I request Dr. Satish Chandra to deliver his lecture.
Thank you, Rotarian Vasant ji. And I would like to thank Rotary District Governor and District Polio Plus Chairman, Dr. Pramesh sir. And it is very happy. I'm very happy that even from the national level, Rotarian Deepak Kapoor sir also joined. And we have a stalwart Polio Narayan with us, and I'm very happy that all have joined. And it's a wonderful experience for me to listen to all of you. First of all, let me share my slide screen. Is it visible, sir?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, the topic given to me is the polio surveillance amidst COVID-19. This is a challenging era or situation where we need to have a very good surveillance, as well as we need to have a very good vaccination coverage amidst the COVID pandemic. So in my presentation, I would like to discuss briefly about the update on COVID-19 and its impact on immunization services, how it has impacted. And next is about the brief situation update about poliomyelitis. Already it has been discussed. And the importance of acute flaccid paralysis surveillance for polio eradication. So first, you all know this virus. It is a coronavirus. It's a crown-like virus. It was there previously also, and we have experienced a lot of illnesses from this coronavirus. And this virus, the current virus that is circulating, is the SARS coronavirus type 2. The virus name is SARS coronavirus type 2, and the disease name is COVID-19 virus, a disease, infectious disease 19. So you all know about the transmission. So if you take the mode of transmission is primarily through droplet spreads. Droplet spread. So either direct or indirectly when the droplets lodge into any surfaces through contaminated, so hands over the surface. So there were so many debates about the airborne transmission also, the aerosol transmission also. So aerosol transmission can happen only in those areas where the aerosol generating procedures like ICU setups, where the patient are in tracheostomy or in ventilator support or like that. So airborne transmission can happen in a closed setting where the airborne transmission procedures are done. So it is basically a droplet transmission. Droplet in the spread ಆಗುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಕಾಯಿಲೆ. ಅದರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ airborne transmission in closed settings, especially the hospital settings where there are closed environment without proper ventilation or negative pressure. So, so I would also mention how many droplets we will liberate while talking. So while talking, normal talk, almost 200 droplets. While coughing, almost 3,500. While sneezing, almost 10 lakh droplets we release after the sneezing, coughing, or talking, respectively like this. So this is how the disease is transmitted. And if you take the droplets means, so it is more than 5 microns in diameter, the bigger the particles. The aerosols means less than 5 microns. So small particles. Usually the aerosol transmission happens with regards to measles or chickenpox like that. But COVID-19 is mainly, it is a droplet spread. So droplets spread ಆಗ್ತದೆ, and where there is a direct contact or indirect contact in the form of the touching the beddings or like that. The infection is transmitted to susceptible individual. So survivability of the virus outside the body, it is 1 to 2 days. So maybe we can take almost 48 hours antale ನಾವು ತಗೊಳ್ಬಹುದು. And the common disinfectant such as 70% ethanol and bleach can kill the virus. It's a very, very fragile virus. So as you see in the coating, it's a very fragile virus. So this envelope is very, very fragile with normal soap also. Soap also can kill this virus. The incubation period, it ranges from 2 to 14 days. It's a very short incubation period. So ಹೇಗೆ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ನಿಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ಫೆಮಿಲಿಯರ್ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ. ಫೀವರ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಕೆಮ್ಮು, ಶೀತ. ಸೊ ಮಾಮೂಲಾಗಿ ಏನು ಅಪ್ಪರ್ ರೆಸ್ಪಿರೇಟರಿ ಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ಫೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅದು ಮ್ಯಾನಿಫೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂಡ್ some will manifest with loss of taste or smell like that. Vomiting, diarrhea also can happen. So ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಮೇನ್ ಆಗಿ 3 phases ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಡಿಸೀಸ್ ಫೇಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ: ಮೈಲ್ಡ್, ಮಾಡರೇಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸಿವಿಯರ್. ಮೈಲ್ಡ್, ಮಾಡರೇಟ್, ಸಿವಿಯರ್. ಸೊ ಮೆಜಾರಿಟಿ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಒಂದು ಈ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ತಗೊಂಡಾಗ majority of the disease is mild. Almost we can say 80% of the disease is mild, almost 15% is moderate and 5% are severe. So main thing ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಮೈಲ್ಡ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಜ್ವರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಲೈಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಶೀತ ಆ ತರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಸ್ಯಾಚುರೇಷನ್ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಡೂ ಇಸ್ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ಲಿ ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ಟು isolate ourselves and take the precautions. Then the recovery is 100% sure. So if we leave and it will progress towards the moderate intensity, wherein the saturation gradually deteriorates and the saturation falls below 80% or 90% in this severe with associated breathlessness. Aga matra, so ಎಷ್ಟು hospitalization ಆದರೂ ಕೂಡ, ಎಷ್ಟು intensive care service ತಗೊಂಡ್ರು ಕೂಡ, that death is more. So that's why ಈ ಕಾಯಿಲೆ simple kaile, but we need to immediately identify the symptoms and immediately isolate or take the treatment. So this is the burden of COVID. Nimgella tilidiro hage almost 32 million confirmed cases all over the world, almost 9,84,000 deaths. Adralli India adallu kuda it's progressing more, and more in United States and South America, Russia and other Middle East countries. So if you take the Indian scenario, almost 59 lakh confirmed cases in India, 59 lakh confirmed cases. But if you take the deaths, it is 93,000, it is 1.58%. 1.58%, 100 ಜನಕ್ಕೆ almost ಎರಡು ಕೆಳಗೆ ಡೆತ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. And so if you take the Karnataka's picture, almost 5 lakh confirmed cases there, and the mortality rate is almost 1.5%. So what is the how we can prevent or we can control this disease? 9 important COVID-19 prevention procedures. Stay at home and self-isolate if you feel unwell, even with mild symptoms. So, and report, treat properly and test immediately. So this is the first step. Clean hands frequently with soap and water. Simple soap can do for 40 seconds, 40 seconds, and or with alcohol-based hand rub. And third is cover nose and mouth with disposable tissues or flexed elbow whenever it is there. And avoid touching your eyes or nose or mouth or to the surfaces where the COVID patient is residing. So maintain a physical distance of more than 1 meter from others. Stay away from crowds preferably, and avoid poorly ventilated indoor spaces. So this is important. And use fabric mask. Suppose if you don't have a surgical mask, use fabric mask where the physical distancing is not maintained, and in the outside environment when you are going outside. So when you are in the crowded places, so and in the health settings, so use preferably medical or surgical masks. That is N95 mask or medical mask. Regular cleaning and disinfecting. So these are the 9 important steps. So these are the procedure of hand washing. So proper hand washing, so hand rub, and with the soap and water. Okay, these are very simple technique. So this is about the COVID-19. So you all know the disease contagiousness is more, and the disease is mild in 80%, and the mortality is only 1.5%. If you see these vaccine preventable diseases, the mortality is very high. So let us take, so polio, almost the mortality when during the high peak transmissions, the mortality ranged from 5% to 19%. See the intensity. So that's why, so it is more dangerous when we take polio into consideration. So how the vaccine has worked over the years. So this slides explain. So we have reduced the disease burden over a period by using different vaccines, vaccine for smallpox, polio, tetanus, diphtheria, pertussis, and measles, like that. So by using vaccines, and we have averted a lot of million deaths by using these vaccines. If you see polio, almost 100% disease burden has come down because of usage of vaccine. So this is an indication that the vaccine works. So what is the impact? So this is the actual progress currently what we have for vaccine preventable disease. But if you take the after the pandemic, there is a disruption in the immunization services, apart from the essential services, which we have evidenced through this global pulse survey. So if you take this survey, almost the routine immunization in the health facility and outreach has been disrupted in the range of 61 to 70%. So this is very high, and this has affected almost 1 million children below 1 year. So as a consequences, we can have re-emergence of these vaccine preventable diseases, including polio. So this is how, in an animated picture, I would like to just explain how the vaccination coverage will impact on the disease spread. Taking into polio, suppose post-pandemic, suppose if you don't have a vaccination coverage in our area, so unvaccinated is displayed here in the black color and vaccinated in the green color. Suppose if the polio vaccination coverage is less in the area, so if at all the wild polio virus comes in the community, so the virus spreads all over, because we have got a lot of unvaccinated children around, so that the disease transmission is fast. So this is how the disease transmission occurs very fast, and we can get a lot of wild polio cases. So if we get a wild polio case in the community, let us take these blue colors, these red colors are the wild polio cases. How we can identify these cases? Suppose if a case comes to Shimoga, so how we can detect these cases? So we can detect these cases through, how we can detect? So this is through surveillance. So that's why the acute flaccid paralysis surveillance plays a significant role in polio eradication, apart from the 4 pillars. 4 pillars are, the first pillar is vaccination coverage in the form of routine immunization. The second pillar is vaccination coverage in the form of pulse polio or SNIDs. The third important is to detect the wild poliovirus or vaccine-derived paralytic poliovirus in the form of acute flaccid paralysis surveillance. And in response to acute flaccid paralysis surveillance, we detect, if we detect a wild poliovirus or vaccine-derived paralytic poliovirus, so we will do mop-up activity. So you all know it is an acute viral infection caused by an RNA virus. Primarily infects alimentary tract and may infect central nervous system in a small percentage, resulting in paralysis and possible death. So the incidence of paralysis is very, very less, almost 1%, less than 1%. But the infection in the alimentary tract is very, very high. So this is the fecal-oral transmission. Child infected with poliovirus passing the virus in the stool through contaminated food and water. So the virus gets infected to another healthy child. So I would like to show this in an animated picture. Suppose if the wild poliovirus is there, so if the child is a wild poliovirus infected child, so if it is passed to the another healthy child, so the virus multiplies inside the small intestine and replicates. And this is also excreted from this patient. Suppose if the virus is excreted, if we see the children who are in the community, so P represents those children who are vaccinated with polio, right? And those children who are unvaccinated are represented in X. So what it will do, the virus will prefer to go to this unvaccinated child. So this is how the polio vaccination coverage is very, very important in the form of routine immunization as well as in the pulse polio. So we have already understood there are 3 types, out of which 2 types have been eradicated almost. So this was also discussed. The last wild polio virus was in 2000 in India, 2011. But the last type 3 wild polio virus in the world was in 2012. So now currently we have only 2 countries with wild polio virus, that is Afghanistan and Pakistan. But we have vaccine-derived paralytic polioviruses in some of the African countries and in Pakistan and Afghanistan. Why this happens? This vaccine-derived paralytic poliovirus means, so currently we are using a bivalent oral polio vaccine, that is type 1 and type 3, plus IPV in the routine immunization. Suppose, so the bivalent oral polio vaccine that is being used don't have type 2, and so for protecting this type 2, the IPV is added to protect against type 2 immunity. In these countries, the routine immunization coverage with the oral polio vaccine and IPV is very, very poor. So that's why in these countries, we are getting vaccine-derived paralytic poliovirus, preferably type 2, if we take in majority. So in India, the last wild polio viruses, type 1, type 2, and type 3, type 1 was in Howrah, type 2, Aligarh, 1999, and type 3 in Pakur. So last case in Howrah. So in Karnataka, last wild polio case was in Yeshwantpur railway station in the year 2007. After that, we don't have a virus. So we had a lot of transmission in the northern part of Karnataka. So if you see, even apart from acute flaccid paralysis surveillance, we also conduct environmental sewage sampling. So wherein we also detect, apart from wild poliovirus in the sewage, so we also detect a VDPV, vaccine-derived paralytic polio, and the last wild poliovirus case that was detected in sewage sample was in 2010. And the last VDPV that was detected was in the year 2018. So after that, we don't have wild poliovirus as well as VDPV. That indicates, so we are on the right path. But so we have achieved a lot. So with the last polio case, and we have received a polio-free certification in on 27th March 2014. So we have got a very good progress. So, but the risk remains. So what is the risk? So in this COVID situation, we might expect the international spread. So the virus can come from Afghanistan and Pakistan to India, as well as from VDPVs from African countries to India. So this is how the spread can happen, and this is the risk. So that's why the recent, this is an previous travel advisory, but this will be updated soon. So those travelers coming from or going to these 8 countries will need the polio, oral polio vaccination certification. So apart from that, so if there is a gap in the surveillance, or if there is a gap in the vaccination coverage, maybe in the form of routine immunization or in the pulse polio, if we have a area where we have not covered the children with oral polio vaccine in routine immunization and polio pulse polio, so that also can bring that also is a risk factor for poliovirus transmission. So this is how I've displayed this in the form of the animated picture, animated slide. So definitely high density population and high birth rates will increase the force of transmission, and malnutrition children and low routine immunization areas and inadequate operational impediments will lead to the more large pool of susceptibles or poorly immunized young infants, leading to polio transmission. So these are the areas we need to focus, mainly the migratory population and the settled high risk area. So the quality AFP surveillance is very important to answer confidently that we don't have the transmission. So you all know the acute flaccid paralysis, it is nothing but a sudden onset of weakness and floppiness in any part of the body in a child below 15 years of age. So any weakness, even the child was completely normal and suddenly the child developed a weakness or floppiness in any part of the body. It may be facial palsy, it may be in one limb or bilateral, both limb or all the limbs, so you can report. Or a paralysis in a person of any age in which the polio is suspected by the clinician. So this is the case definition, and we have a spectrum of diseases like GBS, transverse myelitis, post-icteritic polyneuritis, hemiplegia, paraplegia, quadriplegia. So viral neuritis, even isolated Bell's palsy, isolated facial palsy, wrist drop, foot drops. Okay, transient paralysis. Now we have taken this transient paralysis also because we have got so many children who manifested with transient paralysis excreting the wild poliovirus and even VDPVs. So that's why it is very, very important that even we need to report these transient paralysis cases also. So these are some pictures of the acute flaccid paralysis, wherein you can see the thinness of the limb. So these are all the AFP cases which were reported as through surveillance and which came negative for polio. Okay, and that's why we have to show, we have to report more and more acute flaccid paralysis cases and show that we don't have wild poliovirus or vaccine-derived paralytic poliovirus in those cases. So what we do? So we take the stool samples. As you all know, the virus is excreted in the stool. 2 stool samples 24 hours apart in cold chain, so that if at all the virus is present in the stool, so that can be identified. So 2 stool samples, and that too, these samples are sent to the accredited WHO polio accredited laboratories. So for us, it is in Bangalore, that is National Institute of Virology. So after the identification, after the sample, what is next? So we have a acute flaccid paralysis in our area. So what we do a ring immunization after the sample is collected in this case. So we do a ring immunization in and around that area, covering all the children below 5 years with currently bivalent oral polio vaccine. So this is the response what we are doing. So as a end game, so we are, you all know, last time also I presented, so we have switched this from trivalent oral polio vaccine from bivalent oral polio vaccine. Why this switch is because the type 2 containing vaccine in the trivalent oral polio vaccine has the capacity to infect the children in the form of VDPV. So that's why the type 2 component is removed. So retaining only type 1 and type 3, and to supplement this type 2 immunity, so IPV is being introduced in the routine immunization. So this is the routine immunization schedule. We give oral polio vaccine at birth. So 6th week, we give OPV and IPV combination. 10th week, that is 2.5 months, only OPV, second dose. 3.5 months, OPV and IPV combination. So after that, so 16 to 24 months, that is around 1.5 years, we give a booster dose of OPV. So, and this is the routine immunization. So apart from this routine immunization, we need to give the oral polio vaccine, bivalent oral polio vaccine through pulse polios and SNIDs. So this is the combination that we give in the routine immunization, not in the pulse polio. Bivalent oral polio vaccine plus IPV, strong protection against polio. So to prevent both wild polio virus as well as VDPVs, so this is a must for the routine immunization. Definitely, actually, Rotarians have contributed a lot in this polio eradication program. So as a, and continuously, the Rotarians are contributing to the pulse polio as well as in the routine immunization as well as in the surveillance. Many Rotarian doctors have reported acute flaccid paralysis cases also. So commendable support in pulse polio activities, definitely, as told by sir also, reluctant families, how they have tackled the resistance. Now the challenge for this year is COVID. So in the COVID situation, how we are going to have the conduct the booths. So probably this year, so apart from booths, we need to have a regular booths. We may have these sub booths, the additional booths. That additional booths have to be there with proper social distancing. Social distancing with proper precautions to the children. So that we need to address about the social distancing and the mask. So that we need to address.
3 more minutes, please.
Yes, sir. I'm concluding, sir. Yeah. So that is one thing, proper precautions during the booth activity days and also during the house tours activities. That's also a challenge. The health workers coming to the houses, that's also a challenge. So all these challenges are being addressed by the, we have meticulously planned for that. And routine immunization, definitely I have told, there is a huge contribution, and AFP surveillance also you are contributing. And in summary, the COVID-19 has disrupted the vaccination services worldwide. So as I have shown, and this acute flaccid paralysis surveillance is very, very important to detect the poliovirus transmission in this COVID situation, because there are so a lot of migrations to and fro from these wild poliovirus transmission areas. Implementation of this polio endgame strategy is very, very important. That means what I told in the routine immunization, both bivalent oral polio vaccine and IPV should be given. And apart from that, the pulse polio activities and surveillance. So that has to be implemented very stringently. And thanks to Rotary and unprecedented support from the Rotary and other partners for polio eradication. And so these are some pictures. So intensive efforts in all these areas will definitely lead to polio eradication. Let's hope. The Ruxar cartoon is the last polio case in wild polio case in India. So now, actually, after the polio is done, we are focusing apart from polio, the measles and rubella elimination and eradication. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Satish Chandra, for your detailed explanation regarding the corona infection transmission and its treatment. In addition to that, you have described about how polio surveillance is done and how the COVID has caused a disruption in polio surveillance and immunization. 60 to 70% of immunization has not been done because of COVID. Same manpower and other resources are used for COVID. That's why this disruption must have happened. Chances of spread of wild polio cases is possible. Detection and surveillance is very important at this stage. And detection of acute flaccid paralysis cases is very important, and role of Rotarians in polio, pulse polio, and other cases also you have described. And vaccine-derived polio virus, VDPV, you have described very well. And the importance of IPV and OPV I have explained. Thank you very much. Routine immunization and also oral polio and proper surveillance is very important in rooting out polio from this world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Now I request our past Assistant Governor Vasant to introduce Dr. P. Narayana. He will be talking on end polio now. Vasant?
Thank you, Doctor. Dear friends, it is my privilege to introduce PDG Dr. P. Narayan on this occasion. Dr. P. Narayan, who is popularly known as Polio Narayan and Bhishma in Rotary circles. He is a family physician in Shimoga and owns a nursing home. He joined Rotary in 1973 and served Rotary Club of Shimoga in almost all capacities. During his tenure as president of the club in 1980-81, he started the residential school Asha Kirana for mentally retarded children, and this school has helped in rehabilitating over 800 children during the last 30 years. He served as RA District 3180 District Governor in 1996-97, where he motivated clubs to participate in the matching grant program in a big way, provided furniture to over 150 schools under the matching grant program at a cost of 120,000 US dollars under a popular scheme school support system program. Over the years, he has motivated many clubs to participate in the matching grant programs. So far, arranged international sponsors for over 50 matching grants and 15 global grant projects. He served as District Rotary Foundation Chairman in 2001 to 2003 and also serving for the period 2019 and 22. He has represented RI District 3180 as Council on Legislation in 2004. PDG Dr. Narayan, who is known as Polio Narayan, served a lot in the area of polio awareness and eradication in various positions. To name, he served as a member of India National Polio Plus Committee during 1998 to 2015 and also as a vice chairman of the committee during 2003 to 2015. Currently, member of Polio Plus Operations Committee since 2015 and special invitee for routine immunization, measles and rubella campaign on behalf of India National Polio Plus Committee, volunteer Rotarian for TRF cadre of technical advisors. He has many awards and recognitions to his credits. A few to enlist are: he is a Polaris Fellow, he's got a citation award for meritorious services in 1997. He is recognized for regional award for Polio Free World 1998. He was honored with Service Above Self Award in 1999 and honored with Distinguished Service Award for 2003 in 2003. He was honored with International Award for Polio Free World in 2013. Apart from Rotary, he has been very active in many other prestigious organizations to serve community. The few to list are: is a life member of Indian Medical Association and president of IMA Karnataka State Branch in 1991-92. Is a director of National Education Society, which runs 38 educational institutions in Shimoga. He is a Dharmadhikari in Sri Shingeri Shankaramat, Shimoga. He is the chairman and board of management Sri Sharada Dhanvantari Hospital, Shingeri. He is a member of ethics committee of Shankara Eye Hospital in Shimoga. Friends, here I present Dr. PDG P. Narayan to you all. Thank you all.
Yes, shall I?
Please, Dr. Narayan.
District Governor-elect Ramchandramurthy, District Governor nominee Dr. Gauri, District Polio Plus Committee Chairman Dr. Parameshwar, past Governor Bharat, and all my friends in Rotary. At the outset, I pay my homage to one of my colleagues on the National Polio Plus Committee. You heard about him through our chairman Deepak, Yashpal Das, YP Das. We had very memorable experiences working with him for over a decade at the National Polio Plus Committee, a great loss to the Rotary movement in India. Secondly, I am humbled by the words of appreciation by my chairman, past Governor Bharat, and everybody. If at all, if I deserve any of those things, it is because of the solid work turned out by Rotarians all over the country. I was there to see that these works are being turned out, and today I am happy that we are in a good situation. ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ಇದಾದ ನಂತರ ಇಷ್ಟೋ ತನಕ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾತು ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೇವೆ, ನೋಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕನ್ನಡಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ವಿಚ್ ಓವರ್ ಆಗ್ತಾನೆ, ಏನು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. I took the permission from Deepak. I find that he is not there. Bharat will pardon me. I think he knows some Kannada, I hope. Anyway, let me start my with the sharing of my screen. Seeing my screen? Banta screen banta? Bantala?
Yes, sir. Yes.
ನನ್ನ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇವತ್ತು ಎಂಡ್ ಗೇಮ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಎಂಡ್ ಗೇಮ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಟಜಿ ಅಂತ. ಈ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಶನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲವು ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ದು ರಿಪಿಟೇಷನ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಬಟ್ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ಸ್ಕಿಪ್ ದೋಸ್ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ಸ್. ಎನಿವೆ, ಇಷ್ಟು ವರ್ಷದ ಸಾಧನೆ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ, ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲಿದ್ದೇವೆ, ಮುಂದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಕತೆ ಏನು ಅನ್ನೋದು ನೋಡೋಕೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು 20 ನಿಮಿಷ ನಿಮ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನಾನು ಇರ್ತೇನೆ. ಅಫ್ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಇದು ಈ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ವೈಲ್ ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ನೋಡಿದೀವಿ, ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ. ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಓರಲ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಡ್ರಾಪ್ಸ್, ಏನ್ ನಾವು ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಲಸಿಕೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ, ಇದನ್ನ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬ ರೊಟೇರಿಯನ್ನು ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲೇಬೇಕು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಇರಾಡಿಕೇಶನ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಕನಸು ಈಗ ನನಸಾಗೋ ಹಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಪೋಲಿಯೋಕ್ಕೆ ರೋಟರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಘನಸ್ಥಿಕೆ, ದೊಡ್ಡ ಮಹತ್ವವನ್ನ ವಿಶ್ವವ್ಯಾಪಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಂತ ಒಂದು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಪೋಲಿಯೋ. ಇವತ್ತು ಜನ ರೋಟರಿ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಎರಡನ್ನು ಒಟ್ಟಾಗಿ ನೋಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ವೈಲನ್ನು ಯಾವತ್ತೂ ಮರಿಬೇಡಿ. ನಮ್ಮ ಎಂಡ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಗೇಮ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಟಜಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಇರಾಡಿಕೇಶನ್ ಕಥೆಯನ್ನ ಸಂಕ್ಷಿಪ್ತದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳೋದಾದ್ರೆ ಇವಾಗ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಕೇಳಿದೀವಿ ನೀವು. 1985 ನಾವು ರೋಟರಿ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮೊದಲು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಪ್ರಪಂಚದ 120 ದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಂತಹ ಕಾಯಿಲೆ, ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ 3.5 ಲಕ್ಷಕ್ಕೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಜನರನ್ನ ಬಲಿ ತಗೊಳ್ತಿದ್ದಂತ ಕಾಯಿಲೆ, ವಿಶ್ವಾದ್ಯಂತ ಪೋಲಿಯೋನೇ ಇತ್ತು. ಇವತ್ತು ಆ ಕಾಯಿಲೆ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಇವತ್ತು ಆ ಕಾಯಿಲೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನೋಡಿ. 2011 ಬರೀ 650 ಕೇಸು, ಇದು ನೋಡಿ 1985 ಇಡೀ ಪ್ರಪಂಚವೇ ರೆಡ್ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಇದೆ ನೋಡಿ. ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಕಡೆ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ 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 ಪೋಲಿಯೋ. ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಎ ಪ್ಯಾಂಡಮಿಕ್. ಅವಾಗ ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಎ ಪ್ಯಾಂಡಮಿಕ್. ಈಗ ಕೊರೋನಾ ಪ್ಯಾಂಡಮಿಕ್ ಹೇಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ, ಆಗ ಕೊರೋನಾ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಪ್ಯಾಂಡಮಿಕ್. ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ 3.5 ಲಕ್ಷ ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ಬಲಿ ತಗೊಳ್ತಿದ್ದಂತ ಕಾಯಿಲೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಯಾವ ಮಟ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿದೆ ನೋಡಿ. ಒಂದು ಮ್ಯಾಜಿಕ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ನೋಡಿ. ಇವಾಗ ಆ 120 ದೇಶಗಳಿದ್ದಂತ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಪೂರ ಹೋಗಿ ಇವತ್ತು ಬರೀ 2 ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಉಳಿದಿದೆ. ನೀವು ಇವಾಗಲೇ ಕೇಳಿದೇವಿ, ಪಾಕಿಸ್ತಾನ, ಅಫ್ಘಾನಿಸ್ತಾನ ಮಾತ್ರ. 2011 ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ಪ್ರಪಂಚ 17 ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಂತ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಇವತ್ತು ಬರೀ 2 ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ, 104 ಅಲ್ಲ, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ 120 ಆಸ್ ಆನ್ ಟುಡೇ. ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ನೀವು ದೀಪಕ್ ಕಪ್ಪ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕೇಳಿದೀವಿ ನೋಡಿ. ಇದು ಕತೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಪೋಲಿಯೋದ ಕತೆ. ಅವತ್ತು ಏನು ಅಲ್ಲಿತ್ತು, ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಬಂದು ಮುಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ. 3.5 ಲಕ್ಷ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಂದ ಇವತ್ತು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಕೆಲವು ಮೈಲ್ ಸ್ಟೋನ್ಸ್ ಇವಾಗಲೇ ಸತೀಶ್ ಚಂದ್ರ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಟೈಪ್ 2 ಕೇಸ್ ನೀವು ಅವಾಗ ನೋಡಿದಿರಿ. ಪೋಲಿಯೋ 1, ಪೋಲಿಯೋ 2, ಪೋಲಿಯೋ 3 ಅಂತ. Polio 2 case, last case was in 1999, that was in India, and polio 3, that was also the last case in India. Last polio case in India was 2011, and this story you have heard more than once. Latest Ramchandramurti ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ inauguration time ನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, 25 ಆಗಸ್ಟ್ 2020 ಪ್ರಪಂಚದ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಚರಿತ್ರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಮಹತ್ವದ ದಿನ. ಇಡೀ ಆಫ್ರಿಕಾ 46 ದೇಶಗಳುಳ್ಳಂತ ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಖಂಡವನ್ನ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಮುಕ್ತ ಅಂತ ವಿಶ್ವ ಆರೋಗ್ಯ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದಂತ ದಿವಸ. ಇವತ್ತು ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಉಳಿದಿರೋದು ಬರೀ 2 ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ, ಪಾಕಿಸ್ತಾನ, ಅಫ್ಘಾನಿಸ್ತಾನ. ಹೋದ ವರ್ಷ 2019 we had about 174 cases, and this year it has come down to so far 120 cases. ಇದೆರಡೇ ದೇಶ ನಮಗೆ ಈಗ ತೊಂದರೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಪಾಕಿಸ್ತಾನ, ಅಫ್ಘಾನಿಸ್ತಾನ, ನೈಜೀರಿಯಾ ಪ್ಯಾನ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ. ಮೊದಲು ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಪೈನ್ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ ಆಗಿತ್ತು, ಪ್ಯಾನ್ ಆಯ್ತು. ಈಗ ಬರೀ ಮಾತ್ರ ಉಳಿದಿದೆ. ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಕೇಸ್ಗಳು ಉಳಿದಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ಇವಾಗ 73-47 ವರ್ಷ ಮುಗಿಯೋಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ಈ ದೇಶಗಳು ಸಹಿತ ಮುಗಿಸ್ತವೆ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಈ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ವೈರಸ್ಸಿನ ಕಥೆಗಳು ನೋಡಿ. ಪೋಲಿಯೋ 3 ಟೈಪ್ ವೈರಸ್. ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಟೈಪ್ 2 ನೀವು ಅವಾಗ ಕೇಳಿದಂತೆ 1999 ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆದಂತ ದಿಸ್ ವೈರಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಬಿನ್ ಅಫಿಷಿಯಲಿ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರ್ಡ್ ಇರಾಡಿಕೇಟೆಡ್. Polio 3, last case in India was in October 2010 in India and April 2012 in Pakistan and November 2012 in Nigeria. Probably that has also been eradicated officially in a declaration. Now the only type of polio is polio 1. 120 ದೇಶದಿಂದ 2 ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೇವೆ. 3.5 ಲಕ್ಷದಿಂದ 120ಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೇವೆ. 3 ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ವೈರಸ್ ಇಂದ 2 ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ವೈರಸ್, 1 ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ವೈರಸ್. Now it is only 2 countries, 1 type of virus and Bell and Chest polio ಉಳಿದಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ಇದು ಸಹ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಿಂದೆಲ್ಲ ಇವಾಗ ಇರಾಡಿಕೇಟ್ ಆದಂಥದ್ದು. ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಕತೆ ಒಂದ್ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ 50,000ಕ್ಕೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ಬಲಿ ತಗೊಳ್ತಿದ್ದಂತ ಕಾಯಿಲೆ. ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಸಲ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೇವೆ. 2011ರಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ದು ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಕೇಸು. ಅದ ನಂತರ ಇಲ್ಲಿಯ ತನಕ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇರತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಅಫ್ಘಾನಿಸ್ತಾನ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ. ಇದನ್ನ ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ದೀಪಕ್ ಕಪೂರ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಏನಂತ. ಇದನ್ನ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಪ್ರೌಡ್ ಟು ಟೆಲ್ ದಿಸ್. ಇದರಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ $2.5 ಬಿಲಿಯನ್ ರೋಟಿ ಒಂದೇ ಕೊಟ್ಟಂತದ್ದು. ಅದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನಾವು ಮೊಬಿಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದಂತ ನಮ್ಮ ಹೆಸರು ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ದೇಶಗಳಿಂದ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರಗಳಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ 12 ಬಿಲಿಯನ್. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪ್ಲೈ ಬೈ 74 ಎಷ್ಟು ಸೊನ್ನೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಕೋಟಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನೇಷನ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇನೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದಿ ಎಸ್ಟಿಮೇಟೆಡ್ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್. ಇದನ್ನ ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಚೇರ್ಮನ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಬಟ್ ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಗೋ ಟು ಆಲ್ ದಿಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್. ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಬಾಗ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ಫಿಗರ್ಸ್. ದ ಸೇವಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಬಿನ್ ಡನ್ ಬೈ ಒನ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಇನ್ ದ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್. ನಮಗೆ ರೋಟಿ ಉಳಿದೋರಿಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಜನ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ನಾವ್ ಇಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿದೇವೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಹೆಸರು ಯಾವ ಹೇಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. ಅದರ್ಸ್ ಮೇನ್ ನಮ್ ಬೇರೆ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ ಕಾಯ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ಎಷ್ಟು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ ಅಂತ ಹೆಮ್ಮೆಯಿಂದ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಇರ್ಬೇಕನ್ನೋ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಿಂದ ಈ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ಇದನ್ನ ಇವಾಗಲೇ ಕೇಳಿದೀವಿ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸತೀಶ್ ಚಂದ್ರ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಯಾವಾಗ ಏನೇನಾಯ್ತು ಅಂತ. ಇಂಡಿಯಾದ ಮೈಲ್ ಸ್ಟೋನ್ಸ್ 1999, 2010, 2011 and what are all the things. 2012 ನಲ್ಲಿ we were removed from the global list of polio endemic countries. 2014 ನಲ್ಲಿ 3rd anniversary of last polio case and 26th March 2014 India with Southeast Asia was declared polio free. 2009 ನಲ್ಲಿ 50% of the polio cases in the world India dalli iddದ್ದು. 2014 5 years of intensive work. ಅವಾಗ ದೀಪಕ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ನೀವು ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀವಿ. People were asking in those days 2009 India, do you think you will be able to eradicate polio? 5 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿ ತೋರಿಸಿ. We said we have eradicated polio. And of course this photo you have seen many times and today also you have seen the certification that Southeast Asia region was officially certified polio free. And this child is an iconic child, Uksan Katur. I don't know how many years we are going to see this face as the last case of polio in India. Pakistan's kate neighbors, a disaster is unfolding there because alliya eradication program there is lot of obstruction, there is lot of distraction, there is lot of disaster. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ದ ಹಾಗೆ ಟೆರರಿಸ್ಟ್ ಅದನ್ನ ಆಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಬಿಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಕಾರಣ ಹೇಳೋಕೆ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಕತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಎನಿವೆ that is what is happening in the neighboring country. Fortunately or unfortunately they are our neighbors. ಇದನ್ನ ತಪ್ಪಿಸೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. So we have to be careful. ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸತೀಶ್ ಚಂದ್ರ ಇವಾಗಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು. ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ has declared public health emergency of international concern. ಇದು probably this was one of the rare occasions ಹೇಳಿದಂತ. ಈಗ ಕೋವಿಡ್ of course it has overtaken all this emergency. ಇದರಿಂದ ನಾವು ಕಲಿಬೇಕಾದ ಪಾಠ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ವಿ, ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಕಡೆ ಇರಾಡಿಕೇಟ್ ಆಗೋ ತನಕ ನಾವು ನಿದ್ದೆ ಮಾಡೋ ಹಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಇವಾಗಲೇ ಸತೀಶ್ ಚಂದ್ರ ಅವ್ರ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ವಿ ಹೇಗೆ ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಫ್ಲೈ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಒನ್ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ ಟು ಅನದರ್ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ ಅಂತ. ಅಂಡ್ ನಾವೇನೋ ಇರಾಡಿಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ, ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಒಬ್ಟೈನ್ ಫ್ರೀಡಮ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಟರ್ನಲ್ ವಿಜಿಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ ನೆಸೆಸರಿ. ಯಾವತ್ತು ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಈ ವೈರಸ್ ಪಕ್ಕದ ದೇಶದಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಫ್ಘಾನಿಸ್ತಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ಬೋದು, ಆಫ್ರಿಕಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಇವತ್ತು ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನ್ ಡಿವೈಡ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ವೈರಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಅವತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ಬೋದು. ಅದನ್ನ ವಿಜಿಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ಈ ವಿಜಿಲೆನ್ಸು ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಚಾಲನೆ ಕೊಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮಂತ್ October 24th is a great day. I compliment Parameshwar for organizing this workshop in September itself, just 1 month before this World Polio Day, 24th October. 24th October ಮಹತ್ವ ಏನಪ್ಪಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಇದು ನಮ್ಮ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನ್ ಫೌಂಡರ್ ಸಾಲ್ಕ್ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದಂತ ದಿವಸ, ಜೋನಾಸ್ ಸಾಲ್ಕ್ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ ದಿವಸ. ಅವನ ದಿವಸವನ್ನು ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಡೇ ಅಂತ ಎಲ್ಲ ವಿಶ್ವಾದ್ಯಂತ ಕಳೆದ 10 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಆಚರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಆ ದಿವಸ? ಗೆಟ್ ರೆಡಿ ಫಾರ್ ದಟ್ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಡೇ. ಪೋಲಿಯೋದ ಕಥೆ ಹೇಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ, ಪೋಲಿಯೋದ ವ್ಯಥೆ ತೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ, ಪೋಲಿಯೋದಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಂದೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಡೇ ಇಸ್ ಎ ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್ ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟಿ. ಅಕ್ಟೋಬರ್ 24ಕ್ಕೆ ನೀವು ರೆಡಿ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಕ್ಟೋಬರ್ 24ಕ್ಕೆ? ಬಿ ಎ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ. ನಿಮ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಕೊಡಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪೋಲಿಯೋದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ. ಯಾರೋ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಇವ್ರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಪೋಲಿಯೋದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಮುಂದೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಆ ದಿವಸ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಡೊನೇಟ್ ಯುವರ್ ಫಂಡ್ಸ್. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಗವರ್ನರ್ ಭರತ್ ಇವಾಗಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಯಾತಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕು ದುಡ್ಡು, ಇನ್ನೂ ಬೇಕು ಮತ್ತು ಬೇಕು, ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಇರಾಡಿಕೇಟ್ ಆಗೋ ತನಕ ಬೇಕು. ನೀವು ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಿ ಗಿಫ್ಟ್ ಕೊಡೋದು ಸಾಧ್ಯವೋ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಇರಾಡಿಕೇಶನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ದ ಚಿಲ್ಡ್ರನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಫ್ಯೂಚರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ಫುಲ್ ಟು ಯು. ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಕೊಟ್ಟ ದುಡ್ಡಿಂದ ನಾವು ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಇರಾಡಿಕೇಶನ್ ಮಾಡೋಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗಿದೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ. ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ವಿಶ್ವವನ್ನೇ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಇರಾಡಿಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ ದುಡ್ಡು ಬೇಕು. ಡೊನೇಟ್ ಯುವರ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್. ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಧ್ವನಿಯನ್ನು ಗಟ್ಟಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೇಳಿ, ರೋಟು ಇಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ, ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ, ನಮ್ ಜೊತೆ ಕೈ ಜೋಡಿಸಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಧ್ವನಿ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಟೈಮು, ನಿಮ್ಮ ದುಡ್ಡನ್ನ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಹಾಗೆ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಡೇನ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಕ್ಲಬ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ? ಹೋಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಈವೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಟು ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಮೊಬಿಲೈಸ್. ಆ ದಿವಸ ಪೋಲಿಯೋದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ರ್ಯಾಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಪೋಲಿಯೋದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಲೋಕಲ್ ರೇಡಿಯೋದಲ್ಲಿ ಅನೌನ್ಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು, ಪೋಲಿಯೋದ ಸಾಧನೆಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು, ಪೋಲಿಯೋದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ, ಕಾಗದಗಳನ್ನ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಲೋಕಲ್ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪೇಪರ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಪೋಲಿಯೋದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಕತೆ ಬರೀಬಹುದು, ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ವ್ಯಥೆ ಬರೀಬಹುದು, ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಮುಂದೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕನ್ನೋ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಚಿಂತನೆಗಳನ್ನು ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬಹುದು. ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಂತೂ ಇವತ್ತು ಪೋಲಿಯೋದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಏನಿಲ್ಲ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಟಿವಿ ಚಾನೆಲ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಬ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಪೋಲಿಯೋದ ಮೆಸೇಜ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಪೀಪಲ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಅವರ್. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ, ಕಳೆದ ಸುಮಾರು 10 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಕೇಸ್ ಯಾವ ನೋಡಿಲ್ಲ, ಜನ ಮರ್ತು ಬಿಡೋ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆ ಇದೆ. ಮರೆಯದಂತೆ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಇನ್ನು ಮುಗ್ದಿಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ನೆನಪು ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರ್ಬೇಕು. ಅಂಡ್ ಏನೇನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ನೀವು ನೋಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಗ್ಲೋಬಲ್ ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಇವತ್ತಿನ ವಿಚಾರ ಏನು, ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಹೇಗಿದೆ, ಕೋವಿಡ್ಗೂ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಸತೀಶ್ ಚಂದ್ರ ಅಷ್ಟು ಡೀಟೇಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಏನು ಪೋಲಿಯೋಕ್ಕೂ ಕೋವಿಡ್ಗೂ ಇಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ತೊಂದರೆಗಳಾಗಿದೆ ಇದನ್ನ ನೋಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಚೇರ್ಮನ್ ಹೇಳಿದಂಗೆ ಗ್ಲೋಬಲ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಇರಾಡಿಕೇಶನ್ ಇನಿಷಿಯೇಟಿವ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಗೂಗಲ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ GPEI ಅಂತ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಇಡೀ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಪ್ರಪಂಚನೇ ಅದು ಹಿಡಿತಾ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಏನಾಗಿದೆ, ಏನ್ ಕತೆ ಆಗಿದೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ. ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅದನ್ನ ಜನಗಳಿಗೆ ಹೇಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನೀವು ರೆಡಿ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಇದಾದ ನಂತರ ನೀವು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ದೇನಪ್ಪಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿ, ರೊಟೇರಿಯನ್ ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿ. ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಮುಗಿದಿದ್ದು ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದ ಸಹಿತ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನೇಷನ್ ಕ್ಯಾಂಪೇನ್ಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಫೋಕಸ್ ತಪ್ಪಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇವಾಗಲೇ ನಮ್ಮ ಸತೀಶ್ ಚಂದ್ರ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಹೇಗೆ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಗಿವಿಡ್ ಗಲಾಟೆಲ್ ಒಂದು ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ವೈರಸ್ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಏನೇನೆಲ್ಲ ಆಗೋಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ. ಇಮ್ಯುನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಫೋಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಅದ ನಂತರ ಫೋಕಸ್ ಆನ್ ಹೈ ರಿಸ್ಕ್ ಏರಿಯಾಸ್. ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಬೇಕಂತಿಲ್ಲ, ಹೈ ರಿಸ್ಕ್ ಏರಿಯಾಸ್ ಅಂತ ಯಾವ್ದಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇನೆ ಆಮೇಲೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಫೋಕಸ್ ಅಂತಾನೆ. ಇದನ್ನ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಈ ವರ್ಷ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಸಂಡೆ ಇದೆಯಾ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇದೆ, ಯಾವಾಗ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರ್ ಹೌ ದ ಪಲ್ಸ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್, ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದಿ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಟಜೀಸ್, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಆಪರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್ಸ್ ಏನ್ ತರ್ತದೆ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಬಟ್ ಬಿ ರೆಡಿ ಫಾರ್ ಅಟ್ ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಸಂಡೇ ಸಮ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಇನ್ ಜನವರಿ ಆರ್ ಸಮ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಇನ್ ಫೆಬ್ರವರಿ. ಆ ದಿವಸ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಎಲ್ಲ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಡುಪಾಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು. ಇದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ರುಟೀನ್ ಇಮ್ಯುನೈಸೇಷನ್. ಈಗ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಸತೀಶ್ ಚಂದ್ರ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಪಲ್ಸ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ನಾವು ಕೊಡೋದು ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ 1 ದಿವಸ 2 ದಿವಸ, ಆದ್ರೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಪ್ರತಿ ದಿವಸ ಹುಟ್ಟತಾನೆ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಈ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂತ ಒಂದು ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿದ್ದರೆ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇವಾಗಲೇ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಇರಾಡಿಕೇಶನ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಟಜಿಯಲ್ಲಿ there are 4 important pillars: routine immunization, pulse polio, reporting of all AFP cases, and mopping up operations in high risk areas. And all these components are important. ಇದನ್ನ ಇವಾಗಲೇ ನೀವು ನೋಡಿದೀವಿ, ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ಅನ್ನ ನೋಡಿ. ನಮ್ಮ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಇಮ್ಯುನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಶೆಡ್ಯೂಲ್, ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಲಸಿಕಾ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರತಿ ಮಗುವಿಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಲಸಿಕೆಗಳು ಎಷ್ಟು ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ ನೋಡಿ. ಒಂದ್ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೀ BCG, DPT ಮತ್ತು OPV ಮಾತ್ರ ಇತ್ತು. ಇವತ್ತು ಕೊಡ್ತೇವೆ ಈ ಲಸಿಕೆಗಳಿಂದ ಇದು ಮೈಂಡ್ ಬಾಗ್ಲಿಂಗ್. ಒಂದು ಮಗುವಿಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟು ಲಸಿಕೆ ಕೊಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ 11 ರಿಂದ 12 ಕಾಯಿಲೆಗಳು ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಜೀವಮಾನ ಇಡೀ ಬರದೇ ಇರುವಂತ ನೋಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಉಂಟು. ಅದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಇರಾಡಿಕೇಶನ್ ಇದು ಸಹ ಇಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಆಗ್ತಕ್ಕಂತ ಒಂದು ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ. ಇದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಈ ರುಟೀನ್ ಇಮ್ಯುನೇಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತಕ್ಕಂತ ಇಂದು ನೋಡಿ, ಇದು ಈ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ 2 ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಕೇಳಿದ್ವಿ. ಈಗ ಸತೀಶ್ ಚಂದ್ರ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು VDPV ಅದು ಇದು ಅಂತ. ಇದು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಂತೆನೂ ಹೊಸ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ, NOP2 ಅಂತ ಬಂದಿದೆ, ನ್ಯೂ ನೋವೆಲ್ oral polio vaccine. This has already been introduced. This vaccine will not produce any circulating vaccine derived polio. ಅದರಿಂದ ಅದು ಅಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಷನ್. ಹೊಸ ಟೈಪ್ ವೈರಸ್ ಈ ಔಟ್ಬ್ರೇಕ್ಸ್ ನೆಲ್ಲ ತಪ್ಪಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೊಸ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ, ಇಂಜೆಕ್ಟಬಲ್ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಈ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಅನ್ನ ನಾವು ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ಇರ್ಬೇಕು. ಇದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಈ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಒಂದು ಹೊಸ ಇದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಸಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟರಿ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಇದೆ, MR ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್, ಮೀಸಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ರುಬೆಲಾ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್. ಇದನ್ನು ಸಹಿತ ರೋಟರಿ ತನ್ನ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಆಗಿ ತಗೊಂಡಾಗಿದೆ. 2020 ಗುರಿ ಏನಪ್ಪಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 2020 ಹೊತ್ತಿಗೆ Hopefully it will be okay. Hopefully by 2020 measles and rubella will be eliminated in country. ಇನ್ನೂ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಮಾರು 1% 3% ಚಿಲ್ಡ್ರನ್ ಅನ್ಇಮ್ಯುನೈಸ್ಡ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ರುಬೆಲ್ಲಾ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮೀಸಲ್ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕೊಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ MR ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಸೇಫ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಅಡಿಷನಲ್ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನ್ ಹೌದು, ಬಟ್ ಇದರಿಂದ ಏನು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ರುಟೀನ್ ಇಮ್ಯುನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಸೇರಿಸಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಈ ಕ್ಯಾಂಪೇನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಹಿತ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಜೋಡಿಸ್ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇದನ್ನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ದು ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ತವ್ಯ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವೇನು ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ, ಆ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಸೇರ್ತದೆ. ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಒಂದೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಕಾಯಿಲೆಗಳಿಗೆ ರಕ್ಷಣೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲದನ್ನು ಸೇರಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಮ್ಮ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಗೆ ಬೆಲೆ ಕೊಡ್ತದೆ. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಪಲ್ಸ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಗೂ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಬಿಡಿ. ಪಲ್ಸ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಇಸ್ ಎ immunization program once or twice a year. Polio plus is polio plus all the other vaccine preventable diseases ಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಪ್ಯಾಕೇಜ್ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಅನ್ನು ಸೇರಿಸ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಇಮ್ಯುನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಇಂದ ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಪ್ಯಾಕೇಜಿಗೆ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ MR ಕ್ಯಾಂಪೇನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಯಾವ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಕ್ಯಾಂಪೇನ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಈ ವರ್ಷ ಈ ಕ್ಯಾಂಪೇನ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಇಂದ ನಿಂತು ಹೋಗಿದೆ. ಇದನ್ನ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಮನೆಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಕೊಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕ್ಯಾಂಪೇನ್ ಇದೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರೋಟರಿ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಈ ರೋಟರಿ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಮೆಥಡ್ಸ್ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ಸ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಆಫೀಸರ್ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದು ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಇಮ್ಯುನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಫೀಸರ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ಸ್ ಹೇಳ್ತವೆ. ಒಟ್ಟು ನನ್ನ ಮೆಸೇಜ್ ಏನಪ್ಪಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಇವತ್ತು ಬರೀ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಇರಾಡಿಕೇಶನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬರೀ ಪಲ್ಸ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಇರಾಡಿಕೇಶನ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಕಾಂಪ್ರಿಹೆನ್ಸಿವ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಪಲ್ಸ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋನು ಉಂಟು. ಪಲ್ಸ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಬಹಳ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ, ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ ಪ್ರತಿ ಮಗುವಿಗೆ ಕಾಲಕ್ಕೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಲಸಿಕೆಗಳನ್ನ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದೆಯೋ ಇಲ್ಲೋ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿಯೂ ನಮ್ಮ ಮೇಲಿದೆ. ರುಟೀನ್ ಇಮ್ಯುನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದಲ್ಲ. ಇಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ವಿ ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಡೂ ಇಟ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಟಜಿಗೆ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದಂಥದ್ದು ನಮ್ಮ ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿ. ಇದು ಈ ರುಟೀನ್ ಇಮ್ಯುನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಬಂದಾಗ ಕೆಲವು ಪಾಕೆಟ್ಸ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾವು ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಕೆಲವು ಕಡೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ ರುಟೀನ್ ಇಮ್ಯುನೈಸೇಷನ್, ಕೆಲವು ಕಡೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಆ ಪಾಕೆಟ್ಸ್ ನ ಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹತ್ರ ಇದೆ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಇಮ್ಯುನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಫೀಸರ್ ಹತ್ರ ಇದೆ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಆಫೀಸರ್ ಹತ್ರ ಇದೆ. ದೇಶಾದ್ಯಂತ ಸುಮಾರು 2,57,000 ಮೈಗ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ನು 1,54,000 ಹೈ ರಿಸ್ಕ್ ಏರಿಯಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ನೀವು ಫೋಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು. ಅವಾಗ ನಿಮ್ ಕೆಲಸ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಈ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ಅನ್ನು ಇವಾಗಲೇ ನೋಡಿದೀವಿ. ಎಂಡ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಟಜಿ ವರ್ಕೌಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. Hopefully we will be able to eradicate polio by the end of this year if Pakistan and Afghanistan cooperate. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕಾದಂತ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನ್ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಇದೆರಡು ದೇಶ ಇದನ್ನ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಕಾಯ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ. Hopefully we will be able to do it. If not by 2020, ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಇಂದ 2021 ಇವತ್ತಿಗೆ ಅದು ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಈ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ಅನ್ನ ಸತೀಶ್ ಚಂದ್ರ ಇವಾಗಲೇ ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಬಟ್ ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಿ ರೊಟೇರಿಯನ್ಸ್. ಪಲ್ಸ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಇಮ್ಯುನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ. ನೀವಲ್ದೇ ಖಂಡಿತ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾನು ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದೇನಪ್ಪ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಪರಮೇಶ್ವರಿಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಪ್ರೆಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇದಾರೋ, ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ನಮ್ಮ ರೋಟರಿ ಲೀಡರ್ಸ್ ಇದಾರೋ, ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಜನ ರೊಟೇರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಈ ಪಲ್ಸ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಬಹಳ ವರ್ಷಗಳ ನಂತರ ಸೇರಿದವರಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಇರಾಡಿಕೇಟ್ ಆದ ನಂತರ ಸೇರಿದವರಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು. ಹೈ ರಿಸ್ಕ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ರೆಸಿಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಎಲೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ, ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಕ್ಯಾಂಪೈನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮಾನಿಟರ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಸಿದ್ಧವಾಗಬೇಕು. ದಿಸ್ ಎ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟಿ. AFP ಸರ್ವಿಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಗೆ, ರುಟೀನ್ ಇಮ್ಯುನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಗೆ, ಎಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕೂ ನಮ್ಗೊಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟಿ. ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಇರಾಡಿಕೇಶನ್ ರೋಟರಿ has taken it as a great opportunity to showcase its service for the entire world. ಒಂದು ಗ್ಲೋಬಲ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್. ನಾನು ಅವಾಗಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಕನಸು ನನಸಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪೇಟ್, ನಮ್ಮ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ಲಿ ನ್ಯೂ ರೊಟೇರಿಯನ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪೇಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಮೋಟಿವೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊತಾ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ ದಿ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಬೀನ್. ನೀವೀಗ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ದೇನಪ್ಪ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ದು, ಐ ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ every club leader to meet the state and district immunization officer and listen to them. Identify the barriers and deficiencies. Make Rotary district specific plans. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಏರಿಯಾಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಗೂ ಒಂದೇ ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅನ್ನಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಹಾಗೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ, let us hope this child, Ruksar Khatul, who is the epic child of India, will be the last polio case in India, and let us hope polio will not come back to India. Thank you very much for I hope I have communicated the message to you. I hope ನಿಮಗೆ ಸರಿಯಾದ ಮೆಸೇಜ್ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದೆ. ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಮಹತ್ವ ಏನು, ಆ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಮುಗಿದಿಲ್ಲ, ಇನ್ನು ಮುಂದುವರಿಸಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನನ್ನ ಮೆಸೇಜ್, ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಮೆಸೇಜು, polio eradication is not a one day, 1 year activity. It's a everyday activity because children are born every day in the world. ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನು protect ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಹಾಗಾಗ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹಾರೈಸಿ, thank you very much for the opportunity. I hope we will not get into these opportunities anymore once the polio is eradicated. Thank you, Parameshwar. Thank you.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು PDG ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಪಿ ನಾರಾಯಣ್. ಎಂಡ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ನೋವಿನಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ನೀವು ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ. ಹೇಗೆ ದಿ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಟೋಟಲ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ 120 ಕಂಟ್ರೀಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇತ್ತು. 3.5 lakh new polio cases were detected every year. Sorry. Now it has come down to only 2 countries and 120 cases of polio are detected only in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Last polio case was Ruxar Khatun, and you have described about World Polio Day, how the Rotarians can celebrate World Polio Day by donating their time, their funds, and also donating their pies. ಲೋಕಲ್ ರ್ಯಾಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಲೋಕಲ್ ರೇಡಿಯೋದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಬರೀಬೋದು, ಮತ್ತು ಲೆಟರ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಸಮ್ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪೇಪರ್ನಲ್ಲೂ ನಾವು ಬರೆದು ಹಾಕ್ಬೋದು. ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲನೂ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಬರೀಬೋದು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಫೋಟೋಸ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರ. ನಾವು ಅಬೌಟ್ NID and also routine immunizations we have told, and now the MR program, that's a new one, and Rotary will be concentrating on measles and rubella vaccine. That's how it's being done anta explain madidra. Thank you very much for your detailed description and explanations about end polio. Now we will move on to the question and answer. In this, I request Rotarian Amit Arvind to coordinate. ಯಾರ್ಯಾರು ರೊಟೇರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ತಾವು ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳಬೇಕಂತಿದ್ದೀರಾ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಯು ರೇಸ್ ಯುವರ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್. ಅಮಿತ್, ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್ ರೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳಕ್ಕೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಕೊಡಿ.
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್. ಓಕೆ.
ಅವಾಗ ಯಾವಾಗ ಕೈ ಎತ್ತಿದ್ರು, ಯಾವ್ದಾಯ್ತು ಕೈ ಎತ್ತಿದ್ರು, ಯಾವ್ದು ಅಂಬಡಿ ಕಿಶೋರ್ ದಾಳಿ ಕೈ ಎತ್ತಂಗೆ ಕಾಣ್ತು.
ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬಹುದು, ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ರೆ
ಅವರೇ ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದಲ್ವಾ? ಹೌದು,
ಅವ್ರು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಸರ್.
ನಾರಾಯಣ್ ಸರ್ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ, ದಾನೇಶ್ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ.
ಹೇಳಿ
ಸರ್. ತಾವು ಕೋವಿಡ್ಗೆ ಒಳಗಾಗಿದ್ರಿ,
ಹೌದು.
ಅದರ ಬಗೆಗಿನ ಅನುಭವನ ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನಮ್ ಜೊತೆಲಿ ಹಂಚ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೋದಾ ಸರ್?
ನನ್ನ ಕೋವಿಡ್ನ ಕತೆ ಬಹಳ ಸ್ವಾರಸ್ಯವಾದ ಕತೆ. ನನಗೆ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದು, ನನ್ನ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ಒಬ್ಬ ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್ ಆದ ಕೂಡಲೇ ನನ್ನ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್, ಅವಾಗ ಸತೀಶ್ ಚಂದ್ರ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಐ ವೆಂಟ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ಐಸೋಲೇಷನ್ ವಾಲಂಟರಿಲಿ. ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್ ಬಂತು. ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್ ಬಂದ ಕೂಡ ಅಗೇನ್ ಅಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಟು ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ನಾನು ಅಡ್ಮಿಟ್ ಆದೆ ವಾರ್ಡಿಗೆ. ಬಟ್ ಲಕ್ಕಿಲಿ ಗಾಡ್ ಇಸ್ ಗ್ರೇಟ್, I did not have any symptoms. I was a totally asymptomatic man, but I followed all the rules prescribed for a COVID patient, and I came out unhurt, unwounded. I am totally healthy today. This is my experience. But the message I'm telling you is, it's imperative that everybody who gets in contact with any COVID patient should voluntarily isolate himself and get himself tested. This is the message I am communicating. That's all. Don't shy away from getting tested. ನಾನು ದಿವಸ ನೋಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಸಿಂಪ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದವರು ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಬದುಕೂಳೆ ಓಡೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದಾಗಬಾರ್ದು. ಟೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ is the most important tool in COVID detection and treatment. Thank you.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ಸರ್.
ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ನಾರಾಯಣ್, ಒಂದು ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್. ತಾವಿಂದ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ or stop?
ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. With all the prescribed safety measures that anybody can have, with the safety gears. ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಕ್ಲಿನಿಕಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಫೋಟೋನ ಎಲ್ಲ ಜೊತೆ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಐ ಲುಕ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಎ astronaut even in my clinic.
Sir, you are a senior citizen, please take care of yourself.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Narayan.
Yes sir.
Ramon speaking. Bala ವರ್ಷ ಆಯ್ತು.
Tell me.
ಇದು ಇಂಜೆಕ್ಟಬಲ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಎಷ್ಟು ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ವರ್ಷದವರೆಗೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಬಹುದು ಇನ್ನು?
The injectable polio will be the ultimate polio vaccine for years to come. Oral polio vaccine ಆದಷ್ಟು ಬೇಗ ತೆಗೆಯೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ, ಹೊರಗೆ ತೆಗೆಯೋದಕ್ಕೆ, because of the risks involved in oral polio vaccine. You know the risks involved is the circulating vaccine derived polio virus. ಅದು risk ಅನ್ನು evade ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ P2 ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಹೊಸ ತಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ, but we don't know, we are not sure. ಆದಷ್ಟು ಬೇಗ ಓರಲ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ತೆಗಿಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಬಟ್ ಇಂಜೆಕ್ಟಬಲ್ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನ್ will be there, I don't know how long. I'm not sure. That is going to be the ultimate vaccination strategy for polio. Even in countries where polio has been eradicated, they are still using injectable polio vaccine.
ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಬೇರೆ ರೊಟೇರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಯಾರು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳಬಹುದು?
And I have one question. Dr. Satish Chandra, the novel polio vaccine, has it been used so far in any country?
Satish Chandra,
yes, madam.
Which are the countries it is
Yes,
being used?
it's a very nice question. Yeah, it's a very nice question. Actually, now currently it is being used in African countries, madam. I showed the map. In the map, there are circulating CVDPVs type 2 in African countries. So currently it is being used. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So currently it is being used, and it is used in the African countries. So only it is not used in the pulse polio. It is not used in the routine immunization. Only if the area reports circulating VDPV type 2 or VDPVs. So then only as a sort of mop-up activities it is being used.
Good.
The novel, does it contain all three strains or only type 2?
No, actually it depends, madam. So previously we used to do monovalent. So now it is bivalent. So it is depending on the type. It is majority. Now what I showed in the map, the circulating type 2 is a majority that is occurring. So with respect to that, it's regards to only type 2. And some will be type 1 also. It is in pipeline also. Thank you.
Dr. Narayan sir.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Manjunath from Hassan.
Tell me.
Sir, actually we are on the verge of eradicating polio in the entire world.
Yes.
Our major concern is our COVID is the major concern in the present situation. We are having so many doctors in our Rotary. We will have an awareness program to the public from the Rotary regarding precautions to be taken for this Rotary. I mean COVID also.
Many of the clubs are doing it. ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಪ್ರಿಕಾಷನ್ಸ್ ಎಜುಕೇಟಿವ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ಸ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಕ್ಲಬ್ಗಳು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾವೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕಾದಷ್ಟು ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಇವತ್ತಿಗೆ ಸತೀಶ್ ಚಂದ್ರ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಷನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಲ್ಲ ಅಂತದೆಲ್ಲ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ಸ್ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಸತೀಶ್ ಚಂದ್ರ ಕೇಳಿದೆ, ಹಿ ಈಸ್ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ಡ್ ಟು ಶೇರ್ ವಿತ್ ಯು. ನೀವು ವೆಬ್ಸೈಟಿಗೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಪವರ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಇದಾವೆ, ಎಲ್ಲ ತಗೊಂಡು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಈಚ್ ಕ್ಲಬ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಡೂ ಇಟ್. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಎ ಗುಡ್ ಐಡಿಯಾ. ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಷ್ಟು ಒಳ್ಳೇದೇನೆ. ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಇವಾಗ ನೀವು ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋದು ಅಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿ ವೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಮಿಷನ್ ಪ್ರಿವೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಹೇಗೆ, ಅದೆಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಗೆ ಜನಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನೊಂಥರ ಫಿಯರ್ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್, ಅದನ್ನ ತೆಗೆದು ಹಾಕೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಶ್ರೀನಾಥ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಮೊನ್ನೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಅನುಭವದಿಂದ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ತುಂಬಾ ಜನ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಆತರ ಅನುಭವ ಪಡೆದವರು. ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಎ ಕಿಲ್ಲರ್ ಡಿಸೀಸ್ ಅನ್ನುವ ಜಾಗೃತಿ ತಂದು ಪೀಪಲ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಅವೇರ್ ಆಫ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನಿಂಗ್. ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಒದ್ದಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ.
Yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. Thank you sir, thank you.
Anybody else with the questions?
ಶಾಂತು ಕುಮಾರ್
ಅಲ್ಲ ನನಗೆ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಬದುಕಿಸಿದ್ದು ಒಂದೇ.
ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಬೇಡ, ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಬೇಡಿ. Those are very, I don't deserve some sort of.
ಅಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ನೀವು ಇನ್ಸಿಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಓಡೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತೇನೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು. That's what you said just now, right?
There is a classic example. Classic example of getting tested and knowing what it is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sir, ವೀರಣ್ಣ ಅಂತ ಸರ್ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು. ಸರ್ ವೀರಣ್ಣ ಅಂತ ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗದಿಂದ, ರೋಟರಿ ಕ್ಲಬ್ ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗ. ಸರ್, ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ರೋಟರಿ ಕ್ಲಬ್ ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಕೆಲವರು ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಇಂದ ಬಹಳ ಸಫರ್ ಆಗಿ ಅಡ್ಮಿಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಜಿಲ್ಲಾ ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅಡ್ಮಿಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಬಹಳ ತೊಂದರೆನೂ ಅನುಭವಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
ಹೌದು.
ಈಗ ಜಿಲ್ಲಾ ಮಟ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಒಂದು ಸಲಹೆ ಸೂಚನೆ ಒಂದು ರೋಟರಿ ಕ್ಲಬ್ ವತಿಯಿಂದ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಅಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಗಳಿಗೆ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಸಲಹೆ ಸೂಚನೆ
ನಾನು ಕೊಡಬಹುದು. ನೀವೇ ಕ್ಲಬ್ ನಲ್ಲೇ ವಿವರಣ ನಿಮ್ ಕ್ಲಬ್ ನಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಅದು ಸಲಹೆ ಕೊಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ. ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಮಾತಾಡಕ್ ರೆಡಿ ಇದಾವೆ.
ಅದಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಜಿಲ್ಲಾ ಮಟ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿ DC ಮಟ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನ್ ನ್ಯೂನತೆಗಳು ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದಾವೋ ಅದನ್ನ ಸರಿಪಡಿಸಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದ್ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಒಂದು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ.
ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಖಂಡಿತ.
ಅದನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಒಂದು ಈ ತರ ಸರಿಪಡಿಸ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು, ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ಸ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸರಿ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸರಿ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಬಹಳ ತೊಂದರೆ ಅನುಭವಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ನಾವು, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಾವು ಬಹಳ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗಿ ನಾವು ಸಾಯೋ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಲಿ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಆ ಒಂದು ಸಂದರ್ಭ ಒಂದು ಉದ್ಭವ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಪ್ರತಿ ರೋಟರಿ ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಕೆಲವರು ತಮ್ಮ ಅನಿಸಿಕೆಗಳನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಅಂತ ನೋವು ಅನುಭವಿಸಿದೀವಿ, ಕಷ್ಟ ಅನುಭವಿಸಿದೀವಿ, ಸರಿಯಾದ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಒಂದು ರೋಟರಿ ಒಂದು ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಒಂದು
ಇಲ್ಲ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಇವನ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಕಮಿಟಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಜನ ರೊಟೇರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದಾವೆ. ಇದು ಆಗಾಗ್ಗೆ ಗಮನಕ್ಕೆ ತರ್ತಾ ಇದಾವೆ. ಏನಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಬಿಯಾಂಡ್ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನೇಷನ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನಿಂಗ್. It has become a challenge to our health infrastructure. Nam health infrastructure
definitely
ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ. ವಿವರಣ ಅವರೇ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು, ಆಗಬೇಕು ಎಲ್ಲ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ಬಟ್ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ, ದಿಸ್ ಚಾಲೆಂಜ್ ಇಸ್ ಸಚ್ ಎ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಒನ್. It is a challenge to the total health infrastructure in the country.
Total health infrastructure, correct sir. That is also I agree sir. We should make it an update.
ನಿಧಾನಕ್ಕೆ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ನೀವು ಗೊತ್ತಿರ್ಬೋದು, ನಮ್ಮ ಇದನ್ನ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ PPE ಕಿಟ್ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದೊಂದೇ ರೆಡಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ. ನೀವು ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಗೊತ್ತಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟೇ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗಕ್ಕೆ.
ಬಂದಿದೆ ಸರ್. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು
ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಇದು ದಿ ಚಾಲೆಂಜ್ ಇಸ್ ಸೋ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್. ನಾವ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಮುಂಚೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಹೊಸ ಚಾಲೆಂಜ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ನಮ್ಗಲ್ಲ, ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಹೈ-ಫೈ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಲೀಡರ್ಸ್ ಗೆಲ್ಲ ಚಾಲೆಂಜ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೂತ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ನೋಡಿರ್ಬೇಕು ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಏನೇನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ದೋಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ,
ಅದೇ ಸರ್. ಆಯ್ತು, ಓಕೆ
ಸರ್. ಆಯ್ತು, ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್ಸ್ ಮುಗಿದ್ರೆ ವಿಲ್ ಗೋ ಟು ದ ಫೈನಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್. ನಾವು ಫೈನಲ್ ರಿಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಬೈ DGN Dr. Gauri.
Waiting for your remarks, madam.
Thank you, Dr. Parmesh. Respected DGE Ramchandra Murthy, PDG Dr. Bharat Kumar Reddy, respected Dr. P. Narayan, and Dr. Satish Chandra, and all the galaxies of PDGs who are gathered here today. Dr. Jnana Vasan Shetty, the PDG Jnana Vasan Shetty, PDG Dr. Bharatesh, and PDG HL Ravi, and also Dr. Parmeshwar for conducting this meeting, and my Rotary friends. We have just had a very wonderful seminar giving us so much of input about polio all through the years and how we have managed to overcome this, the great disease called polio. And I've had the great privilege of working with Dr. P. Narayan for 2 years as a polio chairman. And it was a wonderful experience to know what really went on behind the scene of eradicating polio. The amount of work, the amount of difficulty that people have faced, including Rotarians, the public, the government organizations, who have faced so much difficulty in trying to make us today polio free. So we have heard Dr. Deepak Kapoor speaking on how a mother was willing to kill her child to get the polio drops, and today our country is polio free. So it has made such a huge impact. All of us working together has made such a big impact in this particular disease. We have heard Dr. Bharat Kumar Reddy speaking about how it costs just 45 rupees per dose to help protect a child. So as all of us together, why is it that why can't we raise money for polio? Even if we give 500 rupees for polio, we have helped protect 10 children at least. So this year, let us make it a promise that every one of us will donate to the polio fund and help eradicate this disease. Dr. Satish Chandra covered a lot of matter regarding the polio. He has always been someone who has to be in the forefront, who has, I've had many interactions with him, and he's always come forward as a sincere, very, very knowledgeable person regarding polio. And he has given us an insight about the enormous work that is done in case of surveillance. Surveillance is something so very important. We have to know when there is a flaccid paralysis occurring. We have to know if there is a vaccine-derived polio case. All these things required great effort. And he also covered the impact of what happens if we don't give importance to the polio vaccination. In this case, in the present scenario of COVID, it is also said if we keep on concentrating on COVID all the time, polio eradication is going to take a very big damage, because if we don't concentrate on the NIDs and try to immunize every child with the polio vaccine, then polio, there's a chance that polio will come back. And they've also told us that if it comes back, nearly about 2 lakh children per year can suffer with polio. So as long as polio is there anywhere in the world, at least even if it is there in Pakistan and Afghanistan, and we are unfortunately right next to them, we still need to concentrate on giving polio vaccination. And Dr. P. Narayan very, very clearly stated about what we could do, and as Rotarians for that, for on October 24th to do so many things. So to help motivate this polio eradication, because sometimes we have developed a sort of a complacency attitude where we feel it's okay, anyway it's gone out of the country. How many years are we going to go on telling eradicate and donate? But that's not the case. We really need to concentrate and eradicate in those countries, and to keep our country safe. We need the surveillance, we need the polio vaccination, and we need to promote the injectable polio vaccination, because every child should receive the injectable polio vaccine. At least then we know that that child is perfectly safe from polio. So concentrating on injectable polio vaccine and oral polio vaccine simultaneously will help keep our country safe and our children safe. I thank Dr. Parmeshwar for organizing this wonderful meeting. I have learned so much today, and I'm very sad that the participants was only around about 70, and which is not nice, because they really missed out a very, very good seminar, and I wish there were more. Anyway, let us, what we have learned, let us try to spread it all around, and thank you all once again. Thank you.
Thank you, DG and Dr. Gauri, for your wonderful remarks. You have summed up it so well. Now we have come to the final stage, that is vote of thanks by District Secretary, Dr. Alan Levis. Alan, are you there? No, I don't think he's there.
Doctor.
Alan, ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಡ್ಲಾ vote of thanks?
ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಡಿ, ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅವರು.
Okay. Now vote of thanks. I am thankful to our DG MG Ramchandramurthy for allowing me to organize this today's virtual meeting on District Polio Plus. Our hearty thanks to the guest speakers, PDG Deepak Kapoor, PDG Bharat Kumar Reddy, and WHO Surveillance Medical Officer, Dr. Satish Chandra, our DRFC PDG Dr. Narayana, and also the district trainer, Dhanavatan Shetty, district councillor, Dr. Bhartesh. Our warm thanks to all the past district governors. Thanks to the district governor nominee, Dr. Gauri. I am thankful to the district chairman, vice chairman, and I am also thankful to the district secretary. He is missing somewhere, I don't know. And my thanks to all the assistant governors, zonal lieutenants, and zonal coordinators. My special thanks to all the club presidents, secretaries, and international service directors, and Polio Plus chairman, and all the Rotarians who have participated actively today. Thank you one and all. Thank you. Bye bye.